The date was August 10th, 1903, in Crawfordsville, Indiana, when the fashion publicist who would inevitably establish New York as a fashion capital was born, named Eleanor Lambert to her father, Henry Clay Lambert. Growing up in a frugal household with her siblings and mother, after her father abandoned them for his career, did not diminish Lambert's dreams at all.
I should say so, if you're going back to my girlhood.
Was there anyone in your family who was a big fashion bug?
No, I think my mother cared about clothes, and she was always very well dressed. We never had any money at all, but we used to charge clothes. Mm-hmm.
She had attended the John Herron Art Institute in Indianapolis and the Chicago Art Institute as a young woman before moving to New York City in 1925, hoping to have a career involving sculpting or journalism, as well as hoping her first husband, Willis Connor, would be the ticket she needed to get out of Indiana, though their relationship would fall flat. Once in New York, Lambert started by working at an advertising agency in Manhattan, under Franklin Spear.
Eleanor Lambert started her career. This is Eleanor Lambert when she was 25 years old. She arrived in New York City at age 22, and she started a job working for a man by the name of Franklin Spear. Franklin Spear designed covers for books, and he was a little bit of an ad agency and a publicist. And Eleanor Lambert's job, her first part of her job was to get quotes from celebrities. And one day she was on the phone with Mary Pickford, and he said, well, Mary Pickford doesn't like to talk to anyone, and she wouldn't get off the phone with you. And he noticed that Eleanor had a real knack for getting these quotes, but also promoting people.
And began representing many artists like Jackson Pollock and Jacob Epstein. From the very beginning, Eleanor was an involved and active member of any association that piqued her interest, fashion-related things especially. She was an advisory board member at the Costume Institute of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Eleanor was also responsible for establishing the Museum of Modern Art, the Art Dealers Association of America, the Whitney Museum of American Art, and the Park Burnett Gallery's auction house in the first few decades of living in New York. In 1932, Eleanor solidified her title as the very first fashion publicist after she began representing Annette Simpson, a dress designer. Lambert met her second husband, Seymour Berkson, during this time as well, their relationship stirring from a conflict when she was sent to Europe to remove a painting from the Whitney-sponsored Venice Biennale's American Pavilion. Berkson and Lambert waited 2 years before they married. Eleanor and Seymour's marriage flourished, having their only child in NYC on August 30th, 1939, named Bill Berkson, who would grow up to be a poet. By the 1940s, Paris, once the most prosperous, influential fashion capital in the world, was cut off by the effects of World War II. The United States no longer received news of the new French fashion that heavily inspired them. Eleanor Lambert, however, used this opportunity to put American fashion on the map. In the year 1940, Eleanor had taken over and managed the International Best Dressed list, a list of the world's most beautifully dressed people nominated by those in the fashion industry, within categories like Best Dressed Woman. This list, once controlled by Paris, gained traction and made everyone anticipate new fashionable clothing during tragic times of war. Lambert's momentum did not slow down in the following years. 2 years after Eleanor began managing the list, she was employed to promote the Coty American Fashion Critics Award, created to celebrate and encourage American fashion during the 1940s. However, Eleanor's most impactful fashion publicist decision came in 1943, when she created New York Fashion Week, originally made to draw attention away from French fashion and honor American designs and designers in the press. No other countries had recognized their fashion designers in the press before then, and only credited the main manufacturers. Eleanor clustered many fashion shows into a designated time frame to create Press Week. With Eleanor as the ringleader of Press Week, she successfully made fashion designers household names like Oscar de la Renta, and continued to establish American fashion as a well-deserved art form. Press Week, later renamed New York Fashion Week, was easily a hit and coexisted perfectly with the explosion of New York jazz, poetry, and painting. In the year 1953, Eleanor Lambert formed the New York Dress Institute's couture group, consisting of 30 luxury garment manufacturers in the city, to sponsor Press Week. Miss Lambert's actions within her career caused the U.S. Department of State to choose her to represent American fashion for the very first time in Russia, Germany, Italy, Australia, Japan, Britain, and Switzerland in 1959 and again in 1967. Though she was able to travel freely and present American clothing in 1959, she also had to endure the grief of losing her husband on January 5, 1959, of which she continued to keep a photo of on her desk in her office until her passing. In the 1960s, Eleanor established the Council of Fashion Designers of America, also known as the CFDA, in 1962. The CFDA is now recognized as a nonprofit organization set on the goal to strengthen the impact of American fashion in the global economy. Continuing on, in 1965, Eleanor was appointed by President Lyndon Johnson to the National Council of the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency that continuously funds artistic projects. The following year, men were officially recognized for the great sense of style on the International Best Dressed list. Lambert, now at the age of 70 in 1973, produced a fashion show at the Palace of Versailles, an event where she had 5 American fashion designers and 5 French fashion designers compete to showcase their designs, as well as breaking unacceptable diversity standards that were common during that time, with models of different races and cultures. Lambert also published her novel, World of Fashion, People, Places, Resources, 3 years later. Eleanor Lambert, a proven successful fashion publicist, died on October 7, 2003, at the age of 100, constantly working and never officially retiring within the CFDA and representing clients. She passed shortly after her last public appearance for New York Fashion Week in September, an idea she had in 1943 that she was able to see blossom and grow into one of the most recognizable fashion events. Eleanor not only established the United States, especially New York, as a fashion capital and gave individual designers credit, she opened the minds of many people to the idea that fashion is an art form. 2 years before her passing, in 2001, the CFDA created the Eleanor Lambert Award, presented to those who have made unique contributions to the world of fashion, or who deserve more recognition within the industry. Her legacy lives on in the events she established, documentaries or books made by loved ones, and even the Netflix series Holston, where you can see her portrayed by actress Kelly Bishop. She will be remembered as the hard-working, elegantly dressed, pioneering woman she was. Though you may have not known her name previously, you can now recognize her achievements within American history and recognize that the relevance of fashion would differ immensely without Eleanor Lambert and her career.